And he's visiting us just as he said he would. He will curse those that will curse the offspring of Abraham. Now, by the way, folks, I don't have a lot of time to develop this. I know that, as I mentioned earlier, that we've done previous studies on this here, and I know I'm sure the fellows have some DVDs and CDs of that, and we can actually next week, which is, by the way, our final week with you all, next Wednesday, I'll bring some CDs and stuff that goes much more detail about this. But let me share something with you. I want to go back to just about a year ago, just 11 months ago, when at this point in history, Obama was not the elected president. News made it in New York Post, this amazing caption: "The O Jesse knows." O meaning the Obama that Jesse knows. "Jackson on Obama's America." Now this was on Tuesday, October the 14th. Listen what it says. He's speaking in Evian, France, and he says, "Prepare for a new America." The article starts off. That's the message that the Reverend Jesse Jackson conveyed to participants in the first World Policy Forum held at this French lakeside resort last week. He promised, quote, "fundamental changes in U.S. foreign policy," saying that America must heal wounds if it has caused to other nations, revive its alliances, and apologize for the, quote, "arrogance of the Bush administration." Though the most important change would occur in the Middle East, where, quote, "decades of putting Israel's interests first would end." Now keep in mind, this is October 2008. Jackson believes that although Zionists who have controlled American policy for decades remain strong, they'll lose a great deal of their clout when Barack Obama enters the White House. "Obama is about change," Jackson told me in a wide-ranging conversation, "and the change that Obama promises is not limited to what we do in America itself. It is a change of the way America looks at the world and its place in it." Now, I brought that out. That's the first time I've actually quoted that in quite a long time. But I thought that would be important as preparation for what I'm going to share with you tonight, because did you know that in April, this was 5 months ago, on April the 2nd, Mr. Obama did something that no president has ever done before. Matter of fact, despite the fact that 15 of the 19 terrorists who hijacked the U.S. aircrafts and crashed them into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon on September 11th, 2001, were from Saudi Arabia, here we see our president bowing before the king of Saudi Arabia, something that has never been seen before from an American president. Now keep in mind, this is nearly a half a year ago. This should just give you a little indicator of what Jackson's insight was. Of course, I'm definitely not a Jesse Jackson fan in the no term at all. But let me remind you, it doesn't really matter who's saying what here. Let's go back to what God said. God said, "I will bless them that bless thee." I wish I had time to develop this. I have a whole message I do about how America has been blessed abundantly every time we've blessed Israel. And the Jewish people have blessed us from the very beginning, the very foundation, even going back to the discovery of our great country. And that's another message in itself. But then he goes on to say, "I will curse him that curses thee." I want you to consider this. On July the 23rd of 2008, then presidential hopeful Barack Obama was in Jerusalem meeting with Israeli and Palestinian leadership to affirm his support of a Palestinian state. That exact same day, now all this stuff that we've done and all the study have happened always within 24 hours. That exact same day, Hurricane Dolly smashed the Texas coast with maximum sustained winds of 100 miles per hour, causing an estimated $750 million in damage. 15 counties of Texas declared federal disaster areas. Hurricane Dolly was the third most powerful hurricane to hit the United States in the month of July in recorded history, and is considered to be the most destructive hurricane to impact the Rio Grande Valley in 41 years. And then on June the 4th, 2009, while speaking in Cairo, Egypt, President Obama demanded that Israel make major concessions before Palestinian recognizes Israel's right to exist. What a difference a year and the audience will make. You say, what do you mean, John? Well, it's interesting that exactly a year before, he was also speaking in Cairo, but at that point, he was just a candidate. And he spoke at the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and he said these words on June the 4th, 2008, quote, he said he would never force Israel to the negotiating table or make concessions. Of course, he's speaking to Israeli people. 1 year later, he demands, as now the president, he demands Israel make concessions. Well, it's interesting, the very next day, after his Cairo speech, severe thunderstorms wreak havoc across all southern Florida, knocking out power to thousands and delaying flights to two airports. The storm dumped upwards to 12 inches of rain and golf ball size hail. Flooding was so bad that traffic was shut down. Remember what the scripture said? I will bless them that bless thee and curse him that curses thee. Now, of course, Isaiah again said in chapter 26 and verse 9, when thy judgments are in the earth, what should happen? The inhabitants of the world learn righteousness. See, that's God's intention. God sends judgment to make people learn righteousness, but apparently America hasn't learned anything from all this yet. Let me give you another passage. In Joel chapter 3, and again, now we're talking futuristic. This is a futuristic event that will take place. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. This is a part of the war that we all call the Armageddon. And will plead with them there for my people, my heritage, Israel. Now watch this. Whom they have scattered among the nation and parted my land. The word plead there means to judge or vindicate or punish. God says, I am going to bring them for one purpose, to vindicate, to judge, and to bring punishment, because they have separated, they have parted, separated, divided, given away portions of my land. Now, let me just make this very clear. God takes the nation of Israel extremely seriously. This is a very sensitive subject to him. He says in Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 8, thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me into the nations which spoiled you. Now watch, for he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. See, God is talking about something that's so sensitive. One of the most sensitive parts of your body is that pupil in your eye. That, man, you just get a little tiny speck of something and it'll go drive you nuts trying to get that out of there. A little piece of dirt fall on your hand, you probably won't even feel it, but it fall in your eye, it will cause you intense pain. And this is how God uses an illustration that all of us can understand and comprehend how sensitive he is. Now here's what the scripture says about this. Jerusalem, Jesus said here in Luke 21, Jerusalem is going to be trodden down until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Now, let me just stop for just a moment and explain something.